versus England, we're really young, not only in reality in terms of the time our country has been in existence, but also sports betting. 6 years since PASPA was ruled unconstitutional in this country, and that we've had legalized sports betting. And some of the things, in this country, some people anticipated, they predicted correctly how it would go. Some people didn't see certain developments coming. One of the things is that a lot of legalized sports books will tend to, and I'll be kind about this, they're not really that interested in sharp action. They'll limit those players. By the way, they'll also limit players who they probably could have made a lot of money off long term, but they do it haphazardly. They're not as good profilers as they are offshore. And I'm just curious, your experience in England, give us a sense of what that's like. What's similar, what's different?
It's so different. The landscape is completely different. So obviously here in Vegas, you've got an array of super casinos, huge properties, big sports books. If you want to get money on, you probably could, but you have to spread it around maybe. But that's still much more effective than being able to do that in England. In England, you've got what I call like high street bookmakers. So they're on like every street corner: Ladbrokes, Coral, William Hill, Betfred. Obviously, William Hill, Betfred are now coming into the American market, particularly William Hill. And if you want to get more than £100 on a tennis match, for example, or a horse or whatever it might be, you're gonna struggle unless you're a regular.
More than £100.
Yeah, they have to phone through over. I think it's over £100. Yeah, they have to phone head office to take the bet. So you've got to spread the money around if you want to get on a half decent sum.
Well, let's talk about what we call soccer, which is obviously football. Globally is your most popular sport. If you wanted to put £1,000 on a soccer match, on a Premier League soccer match, is that an easy experience?
No. You could on Betfair exchange. That would be very straightforward, and you're probably going to get the best price, but you're paying commission if it wins. If you want to bet on it in a shop, a high street shop like a William Hill, I think it would be pretty tough. When I used to bet soccer a bit, and I was putting this is 15 years ago maybe, £300 on, and I could that would be about the right amount of money to get on in a shop at that stage without causing too many alarm bells. If you want to get like £1,000 on, you're gonna have to go to 3, 4, 5 shops minimum, and they might even offer you a worse price for a big amount of money.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait. So there's a listed odds, right?
Yeah.
Anything. Mm-hmm. But if you come in with an amount of money above what they deem comfortable, let's say, they'll switch it on you before you can even place the wager?
Especially if it's like the best price in the market. Are
there no regulations there to prevent that?
It's very weak.
That's wild. Bro.
And wild. If you use a self-service terminal, you probably not going to get as good odds as well as if you went over the counter. So that anonymity aspect of it is difficult as well.
Wow. This is because we complain about a lot of stuff, but this sounds better than what I'm hearing right now.
Yeah.
What's another thing that we would be amazed by or surprised by?
Well, these shops in England, this studio would be bigger than the average shop.
The street corner shops. By the way, I've come into, I want to say it was a Ladbrokes, but don't hold me to that. And I remember betting summer baseball game in the summer because I was at Dr. Bob's wedding. We were in England. So let me bet a baseball game. They had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I talked about listed pitchers and all that. And they made it happen, by the way. It wasn't for a lot of money.
Did they have to phone through?
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
Normal, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you go on to the online market, which obviously is a lot more matured than the American online market because that's pretty deregulated in England, really. I would say that in terms of companies are now starting to get fined for taking huge bets off people who can't afford it. So there's like affordability checks and stuff like that, which can be a good thing,
or a nice thing.
Good thing and a bad thing, depending on your status of being a shop or a square, basically.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. So there is that, but
getting back to the £1,000 soccer example, could I do that online with no problem, or it's the same thing?
It depends. If it's not the best price in the market, probably. If your account's not a winning account, probably. If either of those factors apply, then probably not. And the companies will restrict you for very, very little as well. You don't even have to win.
Yeah.
Like you can just you say you set up an account, your first 5 bets all beat the closing
Let's just
line.
say I had a
You're
good
done.
streak.
You're done.
5-0, done.
Yeah, and you might not even win any of those 5. Just beat the closing line.
Oh, just CLV.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, can I just say this? At least they would do it on CLV versus just some rando going 5-0 on some horrible numbers. Neither is good, right?
Yeah.
But at least there's some
Well, you
logic
could
to that.
get either scenario
Yeah.
could apply.
Yeah.
Because I'd be that guy. If anything, I'd be that guy. It wouldn't be the 5-0 guy. I'd be the CLV guy.
Yeah, you're
With 0-5, you're banned.
Thousands down and get restricted. Yeah.
By the way, that's another thing about this Wimbledon. Like CLV has mattered not at all. Like with 30 cents better than the close, and it doesn't matter in the end. I was going to ask something else though, and now it slipped my mind. But the fascinating part about that is, so we have not only a network here talking about sports betting, we have podcasts about sports betting, and it's very common in the gambling Twitter space of podcasts, and people kind of generally know what I'm talking about with that loose umbrella, where we complain about such things, right? So we're saying, oh my God, you can't bet this much, you can't bet this much. Is it so, is the culture there of betting so ingrained for so many years that voice is not even there, that it's snuffed out, that it's just, oh, this is just how it is, and we live with it?
Yeah, so I think that the average person who wants to, bet £20 on the Grand National, which is the biggest horse race in England, once a year, and that's it. They won't even see any of these problems that exist.
Right.
They just go into the high street shop and put their £20 on, and if they win, they win. If they lose, they lose. And then it's the only other time they'll come back in the shop for the rest of the year is if they win and they want to go and pick up the winnings from that bet. So the average person doesn't really see it. Sometimes because the online stuff is so easy to be restricted, you do get some squares who are caught in the sort of firing line when they shouldn't be and get restricted as well. So that can happen too. So online is so difficult to be able to get consistent amounts of money on unless you use the exchange.
Has it caused you, and you don't have to give specifics here, Dan, but has it caused you and others, right, to have to be super adaptable and super creative and find other sort of revenue streams and that sort of thing because of that?
Yeah, you 100%
culture?
you have to.
Yeah.
And especially if you want to get like a mortgage or something in England, you definitely have to do that as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because probably 20 years ago, you used to be able to self-certify an income to be able to get a mortgage. Those rules went out of the window. You can't do that anymore. So I missed the boat on that very slightly. So yeah, you have to have.
Sounds like you had a personal experience with that.
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. Yeah, I had a flat that I wanted to buy, an apartment, and it was about £220,000. They wouldn't give me the mortgage right at the last minute, and now it's worth like $1 million. So, yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah.
So that was probably 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it does happen.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if any of that makes us feel better about what we complain about, but it does give us a little perspective.
I'd rather be an American than an English person to bet.
You would absolutely rather.
Yeah.
Well said. All right. Well, a little perspective on the matter. It ain't just us, and maybe we have it better than others when all is said and done. Dan Weston, everybody, from @TennisRatings on Twitter, Betfair, and, of course, Pinnacle Sports as well. Always great to see you, Dan. Thanks for stopping in as always, and we'll get something to eat here.
Absolute pleasure, Gill.
Dano, @TennisRatings on Twitter.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.